Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new vodcast that I am starting this week. This is called Crossplay's Weekly Picks. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So in this show, it's my hope that I will give you recommendations from my different interests that I have, and you'll find out what they are as we go. So first off, let's dive into a movie of the week. So a movie I'd like to recommend this week is Ben-Hur, actually. So this is a much older movie. It's a real classic. It comes from much older style of filmmaking. The basic premise starting off in the movie is this Jewish man who has an old friend who is a Roman leader. This takes place during the time of Christ, so this eventually leads to some conflict between the two men. This ends up leading to the Jewish man going through all kinds of suffering and traveling and different things that happen in his life and separation from his family. And probably one of my favorite things about this movie is the portrayal that they have of Jesus Christ. It's very subtle, very simple, and the way that this man sort of intersects with the life of Christ is very interesting. So I won't say too much more than that, but I definitely recommend the movie Ben-Hur. So take a look at it. So up next, we're going to talk about the book of the week. So the book of the week is going to be Ender's Game. I have my copy right here. Perhaps you've heard of it because several years ago they came out with a film version of it. I have to say, though, the book is far superior. I think if they wanted to do justice to the book in film form, what they should have probably done was spread the book out over 3 movies, perhaps. Unlike The Hobbit, which was stretched out way further than it needed to go in film form, Ender's Game, I think, really deserved a trilogy because the main character, Ender, he sort of ages over the course of the book by several years. So the basic premise of the book is this is in the future when aliens have attacked Earth, and basically they're finding child geniuses who can become generals and fight off this alien race that's attacking them. And Ender ends up being the smartest among the kids, and we see him go basically from 6 years old to like 12 thereabouts, if I remember right. Now, in film form, he was basically the same age the entire movie, and it feels like it takes place over the course of months, basically. And there's subplots with his siblings and things like that that are completely removed. Now, the movie's not terrible. A lot of people probably liked it. A lot of people didn't like it. But I would say if you read the book, you'll appreciate the film even more. But definitely an excellent book. You really relate to the main character. Really is a compelling story all the way throughout, and it's definitely a classic for a lot of sci-fi fans. So take a look at it, Ender's Game. So up next, we're going to talk about the game of the week. So we're going to go really retro today, and we're going to talk about one of the first PC games that I ever played. It is called Crystal Caves. So to introduce you to the game, I'll actually just go ahead and play like the first level from it, and so you can get a feel for it. This is from Apogee Software, and it's one of probably the first side scrollers that was created that sort of competed with Mario and console games back in the day. So I'll give you a little look at it. Okay, so here we are in Crystal Caves. So we have a little bit of an intro to the story here. Basically, you play a guy named Milo, and he travels in space collecting crystals in order to... There's 3 episodes, actually. I grew up sort of playing the first episode as shareware back when that was a thing. And you'll see that the controls are very simple. Okay, so you have a hub world. You simply jump and fire. So we'll do one level really quickly. Has the old-timey PC speaker sound effects. naturally. But I actually have all these levels basically memorized. But there's different objects you can collect. You have mushrooms, there's elevators. Ammo comes in this gun form here. We'll get those candles. Oops. So I'll come back and get that candle in a minute. Avoid the laser thingamabob. You get bullets 5 at a time. Well, strangely enough, the lever is the same as the fire key. You just have to be standing in front of it. And now we'll get the final candle. You get extra score if you have perfect health, so I'm trying to maintain that. We have not activated that elevator yet. Now, if you shoot the air generator that kills you, you basically expand and your head pops, so that's kind of weird. These guys take 5 shots. There we go. Now, in some levels, that danger sign will collapse on you. This is only the first level, so... Although it is an open world hub, you can go to any level you want, basically. So you can start out more difficult. Although some levels block other levels, so you have to sometimes go in order. Here we go. Nice. Ooh, almost got those. Let's grab it. Sometimes fruit will appear for a little extra score, but sometimes it's just somewhere you could never reach on time. Strawberry is gone. Yep. Alright, so I think that might be about it. You got both doors open. So there's other ways of getting treasure that you'll find throughout, but see, perfect health, you got $50,000. So, there's a level. And you can see the level sort of spread out over the whole hub world here. So there you have it. There's Crystal Caves. Now, Crystal Caves is available on Steam if you're interested. I think it's only a few dollars, and you get all 3 episodes. So hope you'll check that out and enjoy it. All right, so now we will move on to the joke of the week. This week I'll tell you a story about a man who was walking down the road, and he passed a sign next to a restaurant that said, "Brave people eat free." So he was a little bit confused, so he went inside and said, the sign out here says, "Brave people eat free. What does that mean? Does that mean I get to eat free?" He's like, "Well," the waiter says, "You really just have to prove to me that you're brave. Why should I consider you a brave person?" And the guy says, "Well, I definitely would consider myself a brave person because several years ago, you see, I was walking home from work, and I came across some train tracks, and just as I was about to cross over them, I tripped and I fell, and my arm sort of sprawled out over across the train tracks, and it just so happened that a train was coming, and it ran over my arm and chopped it right off. And so I was stuck there after the train passed holding my arm, and it was bleeding, and I was bleeding, and so I basically staggered my way down the road trying to figure out what I was going to do, carrying my arm. I ended up coming across a house where I went and took my good arm, and I knocked on the door, and a woman opened it, and I said, "Please, do you have some needle and thread? I need to sew my arm back on." And she said, "Well, sure, I have needle and thread. Here you go." And she goes and gets it and hands it to me. And so I sat there and I sewed my arm back onto my body. And so I ended up living to tell the tale. So that's why I'm a brave person. And the waiter says, "Well, that's great. You're definitely a brave person. You get to eat free." And the man looked at the waiter and said, "Cool." So to finish up the show today, we're going to read a verse from the Bible for the week. So As some of you may know, this is a Christian channel, so figured it would be a great way to close off the show by sharing a passage that is important to me either overall or has touched me in some way this week. But since this is the first show, I think I'll start with, a really foundational verse when it comes to how Christians understand the gospel. So this passage comes from Ephesians chapter 2, and we'll start in verse 8, where Paul writes, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." And so whether you're new to Christianity or whether you just need a reminder this week, it's always important to remember that when you come to faith in Christ, you're not coming to faith in a religion that forces you to work your way into heaven, work your way into salvation, but it starts where we have faith in Christ and he becomes our salvation. He becomes our righteousness. Our punishment was taken by him on the cross and his righteousness was given to us. And so we're saved by that faith. And then that's the starting point where God begins to change us. And then our good works flow from that. Our departure from sin starts from there. And then we become more and more and more like Christ, more and more holy. So thank you for watching this week. If you're new to the channel, make sure you leave a like if you have enjoyed yourself, and make sure you subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. I generally also do game live streams on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, thereabouts, around 8 o'clock. There's some variation there, and sometimes I'll throw in an extra stream if I have the time. But if you hit the notification bell, you'll know when uploads happen like this or when live streams begin. So hopefully we'll see you around in the next video or the next live stream. So thanks for watching.